And to understand more about eros and erotica, it's time that we should work in a more aesthetic manner, in a more systematic and a scientific manner. We have with us an artist. We have with us a psychosomata therapist. We have with us a person of an international stature, Madame Justyna Jan-Krukowska, with us that way. I would humbly like to welcome Madame. I hope you can see us all. Yeah. Hello.
Yes, I am able to see Dr. Lokendra Singh and then Maestro Vikramsingh. Yes.
Yeah. Dr. Lokendra Singh ji is also a cherry on a cake. He's a young aspirant, so he's easily visible. So I hope you can look at me also. In that way.
Okay.
Your camera is not divergent. Now it's perfect. I suppose move towards the left, right. Fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah. Vidab, there's a question, I think, Dr. Lokendra Singh ji, regarding the Indian and European concept and boldness about sexuality. You please want to ask something to Madame Justyna before starting, and then she can come with the presentation, I suppose.
I think I'll prefer to listen her and see her presentation, because that is going to add me. It is going to add
more orientation about right, because the more liberal thing, and she has worked on the body and the task, and especially exploring a body with therapy, psychosomata therapy, and she had really worked in an adorable manner, and that has really created a great orientations not only in Europe but also in Asia, especially India, which is her second home, and explored her services at Japan and other parts of Asia also. Are you ready with your presentation? Are you ready with your session? Should we take you on a bit that way?
It was some technical problems yesterday. When I tried, we make a trial with my PowerPoint presentation to enter directly from me to ScreenYard. So Miranda proposed me, he will support me, and then he will follow my lecture, yes, with PowerPoint, okay? Because I have also PowerPoint here on my lecture, but
I suppose you can carry on. Sorry to interrupt, but I hope suppose you can carry on with your presentation. Your presentation is live on the screen, and others can listen to that. We are sharing on the screen. You can carry on with the presentation, and from here we can make from our studio, from our clinic, we can make the presentation live up in that regard.
Okay.
I accordingly welcome once again Madame Justyna Jan-Krukowska from Poland, European Union, participate in the International Health E-Conclave. I welcome Madame. To make a brief introduction about her, she is an artist and psychosomata therapist who explores the body, voice, and object in the field of performance art. She holds MFA in Painting 1989, which she obtained in the studio of Professor Zojil Hafiz at the Academy of Fine Arts in Wrocław, Poland. Justyna Jan-Krukowska is also graduate of École Européenne de Psychothérapie Socio-Somata Analytique, 2007 in Strasbourg, France in 1995 to 1999. He studied the personal potential of the body and voice under the direction of Ryszard Noizim, former student and collaborator of Jerry Grotowski. In 1999, she practiced working the body and environment with Mini Tanaka, a prominent Japanese avant-garde artist at Body Weather Farm in Hakunshu, Japan. India holds a special place on the map of her artistic travels, which she has been visiting regularly since 2014. Jan-Krukowska is the founder of Just Body Lab, a lab which advocates the work on cognizance of the body and its relationship with the environment. It activates draw inspiration from the ancient and forgotten roots of performance art. And we have already done many MDPs and collaboration projects together in the Eros and Erotica with her. Our best program, that is the Behavioral Entrepreneurship and Success Traits, right, working from the 2014 with collaboration with Madame Justyna Jan-Krukowska, was very highly successful in India and abroad as well. I invite all the panelists and Madame Justyna on the stage and to please continue with your sessions. I welcome you, ma'am, and all the panelists. The stage is all yours, please. So on the screen, you can carry the presentation. Your presentation is on.
It's on the screen. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The first page, but I can see properly. But okay. Could you hear me?
Yes, we all
Yes.
can.
Yes. Okay. So the topic of my presentation is psyche in search of eros. The myth about eros and psyche is one of the deepest sources of knowledge about a woman's psyche. It is an ancient pre-Christian tale written for the first time in classical Greece. It has lost none of its freshness, even though it had been passed from mouth to mouth long before that. And this should not be surprising. Human body has not undergone noticeable changes since then. In conscious processes that guide the human soul should remain similar. And basic human needs have not changed. Only the ways of satisfying them took new forms. And myths have long been the subject of insightful analysis of many psychologists. Carl Gustav Jung, for example, devoted special attention to them in his reflections on the deep structures of personality. He found manifestations of basic psychological patterns in them. The myth of Eros and Psyche, in its very essence, is a story about the growth of the human being to experience the depths of love. The myth tells about the birth of Psyche, about her youth, about meeting Eros and discovering the God of love in him. Talks about the suffering of Psyche, which is experiencing after the departure of Eros. It shows the hardships of her journey that she undertakes to find him. A wandering filled with a lot of work, dangers, and adversities. The culmination of the journey is the marriage of Psyche to Eros, and then the birth of their daughter, who was given the name of Pleasure. And many psychologists interpreted the myth about Eros and Psyche as an explanation the female personality. Jung has shown in one of his deepest insights that just every man has recessive female chromosomes and hormones, and every woman has a set of recessive male psychological characteristics. Jung called the female side of a man anima and the male side of a woman animus. Therefore, when we speak of the female aspect of the myth about Eros and Psyche, we mean not only the woman, but also the anima, the female side of the male personality. And speaking of a woman and a man, their body and sexuality, we should turn to erotism. This word is commonly known, but not everyone knows that it is derived from the name of the Greek god of love, Eros. And so something about the idea of erotism. What it is erotism? Because it is very popularly, I think, this word nowadays in the whole world. Yes, we speak about erotism and sexuality, but what it is really erotism? What does it mean? Erotism is a work of imagination, and therefore it is closely connected with the body, with the body's ability to feel. But it has completely nothing to do with speculative imagination about the body. It results from the inside of human being, and thus is an intimate thing, very intimate thing. Yes, it's impossible to catch erotism. Yes, it's very when we talk about erotism, we stay on an intellectual level, of course. But, it's very necessary to understand the nature of erotism. How I said, it's very intimate thing, connected with inner life of human being. And the erotism subjected to control, pressure, or manipulation, it loses its vitality and withdraws to the innermost layers of the psyche. We can't catch eros and erotic life, yes? Because when we do it, it's escape. Eros walks, or actually flies his own way. It pertains to the domain of soul, not mind. So, what happens to erotism if the body has been appropriated by mass culture? Erotic imaginations became a multiplied commodity put up for sale. They are served on a tray for direct consumption. The consumer of these ideas is a person with no access to his or her body and feelings. They imitate ready-made patterns of erotism in their personal lives. And such an erotic life is a bouquet of artificial flowers. It can hardly be told from a real one, but on closer acquaintance, the spell is broken. The richness of sensations is replaced with their substitute, leaving only a sense of artificially plasticness, boredom, and emptiness. So, love in the age of pop culture is absolute kitsch. She pretends to be a bunny. She's immortal like Mickey Mouse. This is why pop culture love often give us a thrill of horror. And the ancients referred to erotism with the due respect. It was the domain of divinity. The mythical Psyche was the first mortal being who saw the god of love, Eros. And yet, she survived. Yes, contact with Eros was not an infantile plaything, but a borderline experience. A vivid erotic imagination is a lost paradise for many today, as is the feeling of love. So let's go back to antiquity for discover the philosophy of Diotima of Mantinea. She believed that Eros is the son of resources and needs, and love is a way to contemplate divinity. Another person's beauty inspires the mind and soul, directing attention to spiritual matters. And experiencing love is a peculiar part of inner evolution, beginning with the adoration of somebody's beauty towards adoration of beauty in general, because it exists independently. And from this to contemplation of divinity as the source of beauty, and ending in the uttermost love for divinity. When we talk about the spiritual dimension of love, we should ask one necessary question. Did spirituality is a bodily phenomenon or a function of the mind? Western thought treats spirituality as a function of the mind. This is connected with the belief that the body is just material thing. And could you scratch to my, now I can see my presentation in PowerPoint. on the screen, and I would like to ask to come to this moment which I read now. And more, little bit more. Because I talk now about Western thought and how Western thought treats spirituality. And Western thought treats spirituality as a function of the mind. This is connected with the belief that the body is just a material thing. And I have to tell that I see this approach to the body as a dramatic mistake of Western civilization. Yes, stop now. Yes, we are on this moment. I see this. This is once I repeat that Western thought treats spirituality as a function of the mind, and then this is connected with the belief that the body is a just material thing. And I see this approach to the body as a dramatic mistake of Western civilization. And as an artist and body therapist, I am concerned and connected with the Eastern ancient tradition, which sees spirituality as a bodily phenomenon. Besides food and sleep, the body needs a space of freedom. The body needs to relax, the sweetness of doing nothing. It needs to play and have fun, and enjoys letting imagination run wild. The body tells a certain amount of madness. Ideas are born in the head, but the body is the living habitat of feelings and imagination. We can truly understand this difference only by referring to practice. And pandemic has limited and still limits our freedom. We can travel, we connect each other online, and staying non-stop online in virtual reality causes cutting off from the body and feelings. This results in a decrease in mood and can lead to depression in special cases. It should be emphasized that not only the mind falls into depression, but the whole body suffers. The whole complex energetic system that animates our body. The ancient Greeks gave the system a beautiful name: psyche, soul, and so. So what can we do for our psyche in such a situation? Specific situation, difficult situation nowadays. I want to review and bring closer to you the spiritual face of sexual and erotic health. What we consist it in practice. At the beginning, I want my next online workshop participants to learn a few simple exercises of body work, voice work, and work with imagination. They come from the ancient and modern bioenergetic practices, where the body is perceived as a source of feelings and spirituality, a source that is treated with the due reverence and respect, just like nature it belongs to. Let's go back to the body. Enjoy letting imagination run wild. Let's not damage Eros. Because Eros is a source, deep source of life. Thank you for your attention. If you have some questions or doubts, please ask me. I am here. I can't hear you.
I'm audible to you now, all.
It's okay. No.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Madama Justyna, for your wonderful orientations and making it more aesthetic and clear about eroticism and erotica in a very nice and aesthetic manner. We really humbly appreciate the difference and concept of the Western and Eastern methodology and thought process about sexology. I think Dr.T.S. Rao sir is with us. Hello, Rao sir, can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I'm
Hello,
here.
I'm audible to you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Now you're clear to me. I hope the Vedam has increased about influence about the erotics and erotica, erotism like that. Do you feel, Dr. Rao sir, that still there is a negligence about erotic or erotica, that domain is neglected in Indian praxis? I would like to
Absolutely.
summarize you about, I would like to summarize you about the MAM session and kind of proceed with the panel discussion, please. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I would like to humbly you summarize with the MAM's presentation on erotica and importance of erotica, and we'll proceed with the panel discussion like that, please.
You want me to speak?
Importance of erotica. Yeah, provide. The importance of erotica and eroticism. What is the present about?
Okay. See, when we are talking about erotica, see, just like as was talking about Western culture, Indian culture is also has given a lot of importance to this. In fact, it had given such a divine place for majority of this thing, and this is one of the reasons why, when you look at the Somnath temple, Khajuraho temple, or any temple for that matter, in fact, the figures of Maithuna and all the other things were treated as part and parcel of. In fact, Kama Sutra treats Kama or erotism as part and parcel of our life, just like so many other aspects were there. Unfortunately, people get confused this aspect with pornography. Erotica is actually the one which is emphasized on relationship and happiness of both the people. In pornography, it is actually the release of sexual energy for a particularly titillating purpose. Where actually put the line and how actually to differentiate and all, there are different issues. But all said and done, historically speaking, or from any angle, scientifically speaking, the importance of erotica, romanticism, sensuality are part and parcel of our very living, and they are as important as our other primary needs. This is what actually I had even emphasized in my earlier presentation. I am really happy Justyna has brought out very clearly the emphasis on this particular aspect. Only thing is, if we are able to open our eyes, look at the positivity that is actually which is present, and how it can be utilized in our day-to-day practice, would be a great challenge, but also it is an opportunity.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. T.S. Rao. Madam Justyna, there's a question for you. What basic or the whole difference you feel between the Eastern and Western concept about sexuality? As you have explored both the zones, both the horizons like that. So what are the basic, bolder concept or difference you feel in the Eastern and Western concept of sexuality?
Yes, what I said, yes, the concept is concerned the body, yes, because the Western civilization, Western philosophy, mostly, I think, Christian philosophy was different on the beginning, but it's evolved by ages, and then the body is treated as a material things, and the soul was divided from the body. Yes, and then it looks like soul live independent life. Yes, and body is divided. Yes, and live independent life. Sometimes Mission Impossible. Yes, for me. So it's a big difference between this approach to the body, because Eastern philosophy, Eastern culture, on her depth, from the primary, treats a body as a source of spirituality, as a spirituality in a deep sense. Yes, body is spiritual. Yes, that is body which is spiritual. So, but it's a what but? Yes, nowadays, because we are living in a one um, pot, like one pot. This culture, Western culture, influenced Eastern culture, and then people are influenced by this materialistic approach nowadays. Yes, and then I think, for example, for pornography and commercialism, because pornography is a part of commercialism. That's clear. Treat and then it's treat the body like an object for selling. Yes, like a material thing. Yes, and this is a big danger. Yes, this is really a big danger, and it happens not only in Europe or United States, but in India also, because the young generation, especially, is influenced by this bad patterns. Yes, and it's really I found this like a big danger. Yes, for human civilization and all. Yes, and but what we can do in practice, yes, in such a situation, it's my point of view. For example, in everywhere in India or in Poland, in Europe, it's necessary to start thinking independently. Yes. And then don't be addicted too much to the patterns of the culture. Yes, and then we can see properly what is going on. Yes, and we see how is a big difference between material approach to the body and sexuality, and then spiritual approach. But it's also very big danger now, because what happened in pandemics, we are connected online. Yes. And it cuts the roots of our connections. Yes. And so we have to work more intense now. We have to be more devoted if we would like to survive. Yes. And we would like to survive our children, our grandchildren. Yes. We have to work very intensively now. Yes. To stay connected with body and stay connected with the spiritual roots of the culture. Yes. Indian culture. Yes. Eastern culture. We have to be very, very conscious what is going on. Yeah. Because if maybe we will be really last generation who understand what that mean, spirituality of the body. Yeah.
Right.
Of course,
Dr. Rao.
can I add a sentence? Of course, Justyna has brought out very clearly the issue between Eastern and Western. And when we study the sexuality in the Eastern culture, almost always there is underlying background theme of spirituality. In fact, we have written at least about 2 or 3 major articles on love and spirituality are two sides of the same coin. Of course, this love can be replaced with the word sex. Majority of the components are actually part and part. In fact, there's so much of similarity and issues are involved. And our culture consistently treated this as part of our evolution, growing up, and achieving that particular ultimate goal. And the sexuality was considered as part and parcel of that particular process. Unfortunately, when we are trying to look at the young generation, you very rightly told, too much of emphasis on Western culture and aping of Western culture and the range of problems. In fact, the whole issue here is actually it is at that particular level. What is the highest pleasure I can get, and what are the sources from which I can get? Not about the long-term issues of what we call our evolution of cognition, brain, mind, and what we call the ultimate goal. So this is one of the very important differentiation. And when Lokendra Singh was talking about elderly sexuality, particularly females, consistently this is the point. Our responsibility is over, and now I must concentrate on something higher unit, and it is not something purely physical that should be dominating our life. And this particular underlying theme, more particularly in case of females, is one of the very, very significant aspect in our culture.
It's a concept of what tired and retired concept in sexuality, whether it's a concept of being tired and retired. Yeah. And actually, the Madame Justyna has worked very well and nicely, because the Europe has seen two massive world war in the beginning of 1914 to 1918, and from 1938 to 1945. And I think Poland was the one of the most worst affected country, and it has just like Japan and Poland and right also we feel like that. So do you feel that it has affected their sexuality also, sexual behavior also, back in the European countries, like in India, where it has just part and parcel of it?
Oh, I think when I am thinking about Second World War, yes, and then the time of the communism after the Second World War in my country, in Poland, it's affected badly my family and many families around me, and so we can say now the many families was suffering post-traumatic symptoms or syndrome disorder, yes, in Poland. So they was suffering post-traumatic syndrome disorder. It was influenced also the whole body, the whole psyche, and sexual life also. And especially during communistic time, in Poland was existing a huge censorship because it was connected with the system, yes, of controlling citizens. So the censorship was influenced also body and then habits and the whole culture and sexuality, yes. That's clear, yes.
Did I
So,
understand?
sorry?
No, please continue. Please continue.
Yeah. So I think the roots of the Second World War and the roots of the communistic regime, it's influenced even next generations, yes, as mine, for example, and then maybe also the next generations in the future.
Generations too.
Yeah, because this is very, very something very, very destructive. Yes, very, very destructive. Especially Poland history is very, very specific because Poland was also struggling for independence during 19th century and the beginning of 20th century. Poland was not on the map of the Europe, yes, even this time.
Yeah.
But we survived, yes. Anyway, we survived, yes. So, but
There's one yeah, sorry to there's one very interesting question coming for you from Sai Kumar. That, Madam Justyna, can we combine some body movements through a dance or exercises to enhance sexual pleasure, especially advance it during sex therapy, advise it during sex therapy? There's a question coming for you, Madam.
But
I repeat it.
could you repeat, because
Yeah,
I would like to catch a point, yes?
okay. The question coming up is like that, but I'm just like, can we combine some body movements through dance or exercises to enhance sexual pleasures, especially to advise it during sex therapy?
Oh, I think on a practical level, the most important thing when we say about sexuality is grounding. So it's that's mean feel the earth, feeling the earth, yes, and take connection with the earth by feet, yes, and then by feet with the whole body, yes.
Right.
So when we are working with on like in sexotherapy, we have to start from the ground. Yes, it's very necessary because if we feel connected with the ground, we feel secure, and then we can go through the pleasure. Yes, step by step. Yes, because it's of course a long process, but this is the basic. Yes,
Right.
grounding. Yes, grounding. Yes, but
So it's like,
for every dancer, I think it's necessary to take a contact with the ground. Yes, yeah, by the rhythm. by feeling the feats.
That's. I hope the answer, the question is very well answered. Sri Kumar, you might have got your answer for the same. We'll be continuing with the things on the more hard things since Madame is here. She works on the feminism also and feminist aspects also. So